Instant Potheads, how are you doing today? Get ready for another episode of Cuong Can Cook. I hope you're feeling excited because I sure am. Take a look at this and have a guess at what we're going to be making today. That's right, we're cooking spare ribs today. Pork spare ribs that are going to be cooked in a mixture of apple cider vinegar and apple juice in the Instant Pot, followed by brushing on of some barbecue sauce, and we're gonna finish them in the oven. They're gonna be crispy, they're gonna be juicy, and they're gonna be delicious. So let's talk a little bit about what spare ribs are. These come from a pig. If you can imagine, the pig stands on all fours, right? And the rib cage goes around the pig. There's some ribs are on his back, on the top. Those are the back ribs, the smaller part of which is called the baby back ribs. And then the part underneath that's attached to the pig's belly, they're not called belly ribs, they're called the spare ribs. And so these spare ribs come off the pig. Now, I bought a full slab of the ribs here. Normally, when you eat the ribs at a restaurant, they're gonna be St. Louis style if you're getting spare ribs. And St. Louis style means that it's been trimmed a special way. What do I mean by trimmed? What they do in a St. Louis style rib is this extra meat here, which is the brisket of the spare rib, is cut off. The reason why they do that, this is thinner here and there's no bone in it. So it's gonna cook a lot faster than the rest of the rib where the bones are. When you normally slow cook this on a smoker for hours and hours, the brisket part is gonna cook up faster than the part with the bone where the ribs are. And so they separate them here so they can cook them separately. Since we're cooking them in the Instant Pot for 30 minutes, overcooking isn't gonna be, not gonna dry out any of this meat. So I'm just gonna leave it completely intact. We are, however, gonna have to trim some of it, right? This back meat right here, this is where normally it's attached to the lung or the diaphragm of the pig. This little piece on the back isn't gonna be very useful or tasty, so I'm gonna go ahead and start trimming this off. We're not throwing away these trimmings, of course. We're gonna save them and throw them into any dish where we're gonna be using other pieces of pork. All the fat and the meat here, as we cook it, it's gonna break down, become more tender, and really, really yummy to eat. The one thing that doesn't break down at all is this thick membrane. Watch, I'm gonna slide my knife up under here, and you'll see it. What we wanna do is we wanna release some of it, take it off the bone like this, grab it with a piece of paper towel. Nice. And the reason why we want to yank off this membrane is as we cook it, it's not going to break down at all. It'll just stay there, and it's very annoying to have this in your finished product, all right? Okay, membrane's removed. Next thing we need to do is to season the meat. Right here I've got some famous Dave's rib rub. You use whichever one is your favorite. I'm gonna season this generously right here. Put all this goodness right into the rib. We don't eat just one side of the rib, so we're gonna need to go ahead and season both sides. Of course, we can't be cooking without enough lubrication, right? And that's the word we're actually gonna use because that whole warming up sports analogy just isn't working for me. So we really need to stay lubed. And we're gonna go ahead and do that right now because this is how Cuong cooks, not how Cuong's wife cooks. Got my grapefruit shandy back. We're rocking and rolling and we're cooking up a storm. These ribs are gonna be fantastic. That's why we're getting lubed up, so it's gonna be extra delicious. Into the Instant Pot, right over here. Got our trivet. Again, we don't want the ribs to be sitting in the water at the bottom, so that's why we have that in there. I've got apple juice. Now, if you don't like apple juice, I can understand. I love apple juice. I can understand that you might not like it. Just realize that this apple juice is not gonna provide a lot of strong flavor to what we're making. The apple juice itself does contribute a lot to making the meat tender. It's some very strange chemical reaction that I'm not sure how that works. 3 cups of apple juice. We're gonna have 1 cup apple cider vinegar. And in the bottom of the pot, like this. Stick them right into our Instant Pot. All right, we got the ribs in the pot. We'll go ahead and put our lid down, close it. Yeah, what a magical tune. Like I said, it's such a fantastic tune. Now sometimes I think when it goes off, a Minion's gonna come running out and help me finish dinner or something. It's so happy and crazy. Make sure that your vent knob is turned to sealing. We'll go ahead and set this to manual for 30 minutes. It's gonna heat up, start boiling that liquid down at the bottom. As the liquid boils, it expands into the gas, filling up the pot, but it becomes a closed system once it seals off. And that creates the pressure. First, it's gonna take all that wonderful apple juice and the apple cider vinegar and all of that in this big steamy mess and just force it under pressure into our ribs. That's how we're able to do in 30 minutes what it would take a smoker 9 hours or more to get this meat tender. 30 minutes after that, we're gonna take this out, put it in our baking pan, cover it with barbecue sauce. I like Sweet Baby Ray's. Of course, you're gonna use whichever brand of barbecue sauce that you prefer. And put it in the oven to crisp up, and we're gonna have some of the most fantastic ribs you've ever had. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. In the pot. Do you see the Minion running around? It's gotta be near there somewhere, right? The ribs are in there. They're smelling delicious. I'm gonna take them out, put them into Alright, now ribs are sauced. They're in our baking tray, ready to go. Got the oven preheated to 400 degrees. I'm gonna stick it in there for about 10 minutes or so until it gets to the desired crispiness. We'll dry out the barbecue sauce a little bit, and I'll pull it out and we'll check in with you then. I switched to broil, and look at that go. I'm gonna broil the tops of these so it gets nice and done, and I'm gonna pull it. Now's the moment of truth. You can go ahead and taste this and see how we did. All right. The meat's just so tender. The sauce really comes through. I think somewhere between the apple juice and the apple cider really helped to tenderize as well as flavor up the meat. So this is very good. The flavor is going to be based on whatever sauce you decide to use. So if you like it spicy, you're going to use a spicy sauce. If you like it sweet, use a sweet sauce. I hope you enjoy the barbecue spare ribs cooked in the Instant Pot. As always, stay thirsty, and we'll see you next time.